After a week of anticipation, Cyclone Fina arrived in Darwin last night, causing wild and wet conditions across the city. Relief this morning with no injuries reported, although thousands of people are without power, potentially for days to come.
Oh no! Oh my God!
Fina's force, a small but destructive system making its mark in the territory capital. Winds reaching almost 100 kilometres per hour at Darwin Airport between 7 and 8:30 last night.
We just heard this huge crash and we came outside and found the tree had fallen on the neighbour's veranda and on their place.
I was sitting on the couch, I was about to doze off, and then we just hear a massive thud. We look out the window and there's just a massive tree in the yard.
As Fina continued its southwest track, it brushed the southern tip of the Tiwi Islands, Melville Island copping it. Warramiunga on Bathurst Island hit even harder, with 90 people sheltering inside a school hall.
It was a very intense storm. And we definitely, even during it, pretty early on actually, we had a lot of trees go, which made people quite worried.
Fina causing no injuries, although Royal Darwin Hospital's level 1 ceiling was a casualty.
There were no injuries to staff or patients, and it did not impact patient outcomes or our ability to look after the people in our care in hospital.
Almost 20,000 properties were left without power across Darwin, with many suburbs still in the dark tonight. After Cyclone Marcus in 2018, some homes were without power for more than a week. The Chief Minister today saying, once again, it could be days before power returns.
Priority areas for us returning power are, of course, schools, because we want our kids back in the classroom tomorrow where it's safe to do so.
The Chief also saying schools should have notified parents by now about reopening. Jack Hislop, ABC News.
We'll take you now to Olivana Lathouris, who's been out and about trying to get a sense of when things will return to normal. Ollie, what have you learned?
Well, Kyle, I've got some good news for the kiddies out there, maybe some less good news for some parents on the school front. The Department of Education has confirmed a list of at least 17 schools across the Greater Darwin area that will be closed tomorrow. Now, schools should have been in touch with parents to let them know whether the school their child attends will be open or closed. We know that around 2,500 power and water customers were reconnected over the course of the day, but that still leaves at least 15,000 households and businesses without power tonight. Now, there's still a lot of traffic lights out of order, debris, trees on the road. We have seen a couple of people coming for an evening stroll through the city, picking up a bit of takeaway, so there is a sense that things are returning somewhat back to normal. But Kyle, I think it's going to be a little bit of a rocky start to the week.
Thanks, Ollie. Despite the massive clean-up ahead for Darwin, the city's resilience has shone through as locals pick up the pieces ready to move on.
Trees and traffic lights down, boats stranded and chainsaws firing up.
Just be safe and don't panic.
Darwin wakes to the damage bill left by Tropical Cyclone Fina.
Just got here and having a look around, and obviously we took a bit of a hit, same as Darwin everywhere.
Darwin Harbour, host to numerous smashed and sunken boats.
True Territorian valet parking, I suppose, eh?
And damage to Stokes Hill Wharf. This Territorian lucky to find his vessel still afloat.
Seems to be the only boat that's survived. Everything else seems to be on the rocks here.
Some still opting to open shop and get on with business.
We do things a bit different in Darwin. I still, even though it was a Category 3 and the trees were uprooted and, bending over and all the rest of it, it was just, something of a bit of a big blow.
For some of the thousands left without mains power, generators provide for the essentials.
So we could run the lights and fans, fridge and freezer, and of course the cricket yesterday on the TV, priority.
After 25 years in Darwin, this northern suburbs family was prepared for Fina's onslaught, but still shocked by her force.
Yeah, it was very loud. I was surprised the noise, like you got rain noise but the wind.
Travellers delayed, waiting outside a closed Darwin airport this morning.
I was meant to fly out yesterday morning, which was obviously not happening.
with the doors reopening just after midday.
We're very fortunate that most of our damage was like everybody else. Our trees are down and some minor damage. The runway's held up extremely well.
But in Fina's wake, travel delays are still expected.
Pretty disruptive day, but yeah, we're underway.
Darwin now out of the danger zone as Fina marches on. Matt Garrick, ABC News.
With power still down across parts of Darwin, power and water crews are working to restore as many homes as possible. With the latest, here's Michael Besselink.
Well, as you can imagine, we had a fairly big cyclone that came across the top end and through some of the community areas and Darwin, and the damage has been very extensive. The crews that have been out today have likened the damage to Cyclone Marcus, so it is quite extensive.
And how severe is the damage? Do we know? Obviously it extends over a large area, but how severe is the actual impact?
We're getting all of that assessment data and we're going through that assessment data at the moment. But as you can imagine, there are a lot of trees over power lines, and we also have a lot of accessibility issues in some areas. With respect to numbers of the customers who have been restored today, this morning we started with about 19,500 customers, businesses off supply. Today we've restored 2,500 of those customers, and we've been doing that because as we've been going through doing our assessments, if we get to a natural point where we can isolate everything that's further down that we haven't assessed, we can then restore power up to that point, and we've been able to do that successfully today with 2,500 customers.
So theoretically, for some households, there really just, isn't a clear timeline of when they're going to be able to get power back.
Right now, we can't give a clear timeline on when power will be back to all customers, no.
We've seen so many trees down, debris on the road, power lines down. I suppose, what is the safety message that you have for people who, may have power lines down on their street or who still don't have power tonight?
I think one of the key safety messages is if you see power lines on the ground, don't go near them. Always treat downed power lines as though they were live, so stay away from power lines.
We're joined now by the ABC's favourite meteorologist, Nate Byrne, who has now just experienced his first cyclone. Nate, how would you describe what you've just been through?
Well, do you mean the introduction? Because I'd say that was pretty nice, Kyle. Thank you. But the last 24 hours, wow. I think the best way to describe it would be the best case of the worst case scenario. Essentially, Fina was a lot stronger than we originally thought, but this town really showed that it owns its position as Australia's tropical capital with no injuries. People paid attention to the warnings. Sure, we've got damage around. Yes, there is power out. Yes, there will be some time to recover. It's not like this place has gone unscathed, but it's come through just about as good as anybody could have hoped.
And Nate, what can you tell us about Fina's path from here?
Yeah, so just because it's done with us, Kyle, it's not done yet. It's still a Category 4 system about 125 kilometres west-southwest of Dundee Beach, but it's moving southwest, so away from the territory. But that puts it directly in line for northern Western Australia, the Kimberley coast under cyclone warnings now, and there is some concern, but also good news to go with it. It'll maintain that Category 4 strength overnight. By about lunchtime tomorrow, it should be back to a Category 3, still a severe tropical cyclone. But as it approaches Berkeley River mouth, we're likely to see it then rapidly deteriorate. And I think by Tuesday morning, we could be talking about ex-Tropical Cyclone Fina. I'll be on my way home and, maybe planning my next trip back up, perhaps in the dry, Kyle.
And as the cyclone works its way west past the Daly River and Wadair, you can keep track on abc.net.au/emergency. You can also get news updates on the ABC News website. And for rolling coverage, your official emergency broadcaster is ABC Local Radio.